I was not shocked, but definitely it just confirmed what I already believed, which is that Piers Morgan is a racist. He just exposed his racism yet again. Let's take a listen what he has to say, and then I will tell you a few more details.
Okay, then, so again, so you're inconsistent. I'm consistent. I'm blindly anti-occupying Russia that occupies Ukraine, and I'm blindly anti an Israel that occupies Gaza. By the way, another area I'm consistent is I do think both wars need to come to an end, and they're going to come to an end through some sort of negotiation. I don't believe in prolonged conflict. I don't know. I'm not a negotiator.
What's
I
the negotiation in Ukraine?
I don't believe there's a military solution to either conflict.
Give me the solution.
I don't have one. Do you have a military solution? I don't think there is one.
We can't possibly give Putin what he's taken.
No, I agree.
So how do you do it?
I don't know. But I don't think the military continuing helps. I mean, how do you win militarily? I don't know how that works.
Would you said that in World War II?
What do you mean?
When the Nazis were trying to take over the world?
No, there was a plausible plan to win, wasn't there, when the US came in?
Just to fight them.
And there were no nuclear weapons back then.
Okay, but you just think Putin would ever use them?
Do you not think he would use them?
No. Why would he? He's not an Islamic fundamentalist who wants to blow himself up.
Oh, that's a very racist thing to say.
It's not.
You're saying only Muslims want to use nuclear weapons?
No, I said
what?
Islamic.
Why would Putin not want to use it?
I say Muslim. I said Islamic fundamentalists.
Why is it Islamic fundamentalists?
Because Islamic fundamentalists kill themselves to get what they want.
But they haven't used nukes. The only people who've used nukes in history are the United States of America.
You're missing my point deliberately, and you're playing.
No, because I just find
you're playing the race card stupidly.
You're playing weird asides, Piers. You're bringing in Western allies.
I'm answering your question about whether I thought Russia would use nukes. No, because
the only people who would are Islamic fundamentalists.
They do not behave.
Western
he does not think like an Islamic fundamentalist where they will kill themselves to get their goals.
You know the United States of America used a nuclear weapon, Piers, right? They're not Islamic fundamentalists.
You're missing my point. The point is Islamic fundamentalists will kill themselves in the process of destroying others. Russia does not want to do that. Vladimir Putin doesn't want to kill himself.
Fair point.
Right? So my point about the nuclear threats, which he does all the time, is he takes what should be a deterrent. Look, we shouldn't have nuclear weapons, right? Period. But we do. Russia has 6,000.
As does Israel.
Russia has 6. I'm sure they do. And I put that question to Netanyahu. And
okay, so I think this moron has spoken, and you clearly heard it, what he said. All of a sudden, he was having this conversation with Mehdi Hasan about Russia, about World War, about the Nazis, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue moon, he talks about Islam. He talks about the fundamentalists, and he talks about how they can blow things up and accomplish their mission. And this is not what Putin will do. So Putin is not going to destroy himself like the Islamic fundamentalist. Like, why you would even bring up that topic, Islamic fundamentalist, when you're talking about war? Because the Muslims, they were not in World War I. They were not in World War II. They're not in any war in today's time, except that they are being forced to have this oppression on them, i.e. in Palestine, in Gaza especially, and also elsewhere. Indian administered Kashmir is another example. And all of a sudden he's bringing Islamic fundamentalists and trying to match them with what US did in Japan, what Nazi Germany did with the Jew, and what he did in World War II. I mean, why? The Muslims, I'm not here to defend Islam, but I'm trying to tell you how twisted, what a retard this guy is, Piers Morgan, where he sees, every time he sees an opportunity to label the Muslims as terrorists, he doesn't miss that opportunity. That's what I'm trying to say here. Now, I'm not going to be saying things without any evidence. I have some evidence, so I want to share with you. Take a look at the suicide attack that is taking place right now, not by Islamic fundamentalists, but by Christians. So let's find out if suicide bombing is a exclusive thing for the Muslims. Let's take a look at this report. So there is a bridge. It's called Kerch Strait Bridge in Russia. Do you know this bridge was blown up by Ukrainian military? So this is what it says. So that raises questions about how explosion was timed and whether the driver of the truck knew about the bomb. In other words, when they sent this driver to blow up this bridge, Western media reported, and the narrative was said, that this truck bomb was detonated through a remote control, not by a suicide bomber. However, then we have some other analysts, some expert weighing in, saying that no, this truck was was exploded because the driver, he blew himself up. So again, this is in context of the war in Russia and Ukraine. So a remote detonation could be difficult in time precisely, but a suicide bomber might have been expected to hold off until the truck made it into the arch span. Mr. Nair said a direct hit to the arch, which with its enormous amount of steel, could have taken far longer to repair. He said, if it were a suicide truck bomb, Mr. Nair said, I would think the guy would have destroyed the main span. And this is exactly what happened. The main span of the bridge was blown up by this suicide truck bomber, and this was not done by a Islamic fundamentalist, as Piers Morgan is trying to label as, and he is obviously failing miserably. This is not the first time. There are people from US, from UK, from Germany traveling all the way to Ukraine and became a suicide bomber. Do you know that? Do you read stories? Sometimes they come on the mainstream media, very rarely. Why? Because the Western media, they feel uncomfortable talking about such things. And in one occasion, they praised a suicide bomber who defended a community by blowing himself up, by committing suicide. And then all of a sudden, when they were called out, because of that report was published in the Western media, when they were called out, they changed it and they do not publish any more of those kind of news anymore. So Piers Morgan, Mehdi Hasan could have easily pointed out to Piers Morgan that, look, this bombing, it is not exclusive to the Muslims. Even the non-Muslims, they're using it in a situation where you have to fight for your land, fight for your life, fight for your family. Things can be very, very desperate, and you have to take some desperate measures. So in terms of defending yourself, I'm not talking about those lunatics going out trying to blow themselves up and killing innocent civilians. I'm not talking about them. But if you have to defend yourself, your country, and the only way you can do this is by committing this kind of suicide, would you not do it? If you don't, then obviously you have to question yourself. Do you love your country? Do you love your people? Do you love what do you love? What do you stand for if you are a coward? So Piers Morgan, again, this guy is absolutely making no sense logically, and also his ignorance about history, his ignorance about how this whole warfare can play out is something so shocking. This guy should not be doing journalism at all. Let's take a listen a little bit more.
It, but I'm sure, of course they do. Right, but the point is, I don't think that the mindset of someone like Vladimir Putin is to start a war where he gets instantly vaporized. Makes no sense to me. So I think he uses it as a threat, and a lot of people in the West go like this and go, oh my God, we can't do anything. We must let him continue what he's doing because he might nuke us. And I think he's been doing this now for years, and we've got to stand up to him because he's never going to use nuclear weapons, because he knows the moment he does, Russia and him are dead. And he doesn't think in the way that Al-Qaeda or ISIS or one of these groups do, where they don't mind dying in big numbers to blow things up.
It's a very fair argument. I respect that argument.
That's my point.
That's a fair argument. I respect that argument. I'm saying I'm not willing to take that risk. I would like to see the Ukraine conflict come to an end.
So would I.
In Ukraine's favour.
Okay, so Mehdi Hasan, I don't know why he agreed with that, but think about this. Russian President Vladimir Putin, he made it absolutely clear that he's going to use nuclear weapon if he's under attack, if his country is under attack. So Mehdi Hasan agreeing with Piers Morgan, I don't know why he did that, but Russian Putin, and not just Putin, Medvedev, the vice president, or he's working in the government now, in the Russian government, he also said, we're going to blow up the whole world if we come under attack. So no, everybody at that moment, in that pivotal moment, will become IDF, will become ISIS, will become Al-Qaeda, because that's what it is. If Russia and Moscow is getting blown up, if US is using, or Ukraine is using long-range missiles to destroy Moscow, do you think Putin will say, oh, I'm not ISIS, I'm not IDF, I'm not, my Al-Qaeda, so yeah, I cannot do this. No, this is not me. This is what Piers Morgan wants us to believe. This guy is lunatic, doesn't make any sense. When these people, IDF, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, what they're doing is because they believe that if they don't do it, then, of course, it is going to be the end of them. So when Putin will feel the same way. He's absolutely gonna destroy, pulverize the whole world. He's gonna destroy, he's gonna annihilate US, he's gonna annihilate all countries, the European countries, the NATO countries, if he feels threatened, if NATO attacks him. I mean, again, a very, very poor logic, a very, very much shady thing that Piers Morgan is trying to propagate here. I don't know what his motives are, but I think the discussion should be about Netanyahu. Putin is not really the real danger. The real danger for the world is Shaitanyahu. He should be talking to Mehdi Hasan about Shaitanyahu more often than anybody else. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next video. If you have any comment, leave a comment. Have a wonderful day. Take care.